If you step off the trail in Jackson County, Alabama, and the woods go completely dead quiet, you have exactly 10 seconds to run. Ranger Caden spent 15 years tracking trail anomalies for Jackson County Search and Rescue. His job was knowing every ridge on the northeast Alabama plateau, every drainage, every pull-off. But there is one 4-mile stretch between the Paint Rock River Valley and the upper walls of Jericho Trail system, where the temperature drops instantly and the air carries a heavy smell of metallic copper. The locals have a name for it. They call it the Quiet Mile. 3 different hikers got lost inside those 4 miles. Different years, different seasons. They did not know each other. But when they were found alive, all 3 of them, they were carrying one identical, chilling physical detail. I am going to tell you what it was, but only after you have heard all 3 of their stories, because the detail only means something once you understand where they were. Watch every second. The connection revealed at the very end proves they all stood in the exact same impossible place. Marcus Webb was not the kind of person who got lost. He was 34, forklift certified at a distribution center in Huntsville, living paycheck to paycheck in a studio apartment with a Murphy bed and a trail map taped to the back of his bathroom door. 3 years section hiking the Pinhoti Trail through northeast Alabama. Always solo, always planned, never once off trail. It was a Tuesday in late October. Overcast, dry, leaves off the oaks and still holding on the hickories. He had 4.2 miles back to the trailhead on Highway 72 and a filter straw running low. A creek he had marked on satellite imagery looked close, 80 yards off the trail through open hardwood. He told himself 10 minutes. His phone was at 22%. All trails had been draining it faster than expected. He did the math. Enough GPS to get back, but not with a long detour. The creek was faster. He stepped off the Pinhoti and dropped into the hollow. The birds stopped the moment he crossed the tree line. Not gradually, all at once. He noticed it, filed it under, spooked them, and kept moving. The creek was exactly where the image showed it. 8 feet wide, knee-deep, running fast over limestone. He crouched at the bank and pulled the filter straw. Normal. The kind of moment that had happened 100 times on 100 deep woods hikes. Then he saw the tubing, camouflaged irrigation line under the leaf litter on the far bank. Not one, multiple, parallel, spaced for even water distribution across a large area. Commercial-grade fittings, buried under 6 inches of fresh leaf fall. Leaves that had only been down 3 weeks. Whoever laid this did it this season. The lines were active. His brain went to deer farm, old orchard. He was already building the explanation when the smell reached him. Chemical, sharp, underneath the cold organic smell of the hollow. Not fertilizer. Something that had no business being in any Appalachian Mountains, camping or hiking corridor he had ever walked. He looked up. Game cameras zip-tied to the trunks across the creek. 4 visible. All angled inward, toward the water, toward the bank, toward exactly where a person would stand coming in from the trail side. Not watching for deer. Watching for this. He had been on their feed the moment he stepped off the Pinhoti. Phone 16%. Then the voices. 2 men 30 yards into the tree cover on the far bank. Not hikers. A working conversation. Low, flat, purposeful. One phrase came through clearly over the sound of the water. Not the first one to come through here. Marcus went still. His sobriety sponsor Dell had one rule, said every Thursday the same way. The moment you start explaining away the thing that scared you is the moment you are already in trouble. Marcus had been explaining for 10 minutes. A logging truck ground up the fire road to his left. He could see the gap in the tree line where the road cut through. If he moved now, fast, low, quiet, he could probably make it. He didn't move. The brush would be too loud. He pressed himself against the limestone overhang under the bank and waited. A flashlight beam swept the bank above him. Left, right. Then it stopped, on the exact spot where he had been crouching at the water. It held there. 4 full seconds. Then it cut off. The dark came back thicker than before. He did not move for 7 hours. What Marcus walked into is not folklore. The USDA Forest Service's own enforcement reports confirmed that illegal grow operations in the Appalachian National Forest corridors, including land adjacent to Jackson County, Alabama, have used buried commercial irrigation, embedded game cameras, and armed guards on night vision equipment. Documented. Real. Marcus was not in an abandoned hunting camp. What he did to get out, what the Forest Service agent said when she closed his report, there is one detail in that phone call that connects directly to what I promised you at the start of this video. The thing all 3 hikers were carrying when they came out. Deanna Holt was not reckless. She was 28, an occupational therapist at Huntsville Hospital, and she had hiked the walls of Jericho trail system in Jackson County 4 times. She kept a handwritten log in a purple moleskin notebook. She carried a Suunto A30 baseplate compass because she didn't trust GPS in fog. And in late November on the limestone plateau above the Paint Rock River Valley, fog was something you planned for. She had not planned for this fog. It came in fast off a warm front pushing over the ridge. 1 minute the trail was clear. The next, she was in a gray wall that swallowed the tree line 20 feet out. She stepped 2 feet off the trail to get clear of the canopy and pulled the compass to take a bearing. The ground gave, not crumbled, gave. A sudden absence beneath her left foot, and then she was falling. 15 feet. She landed hard on a mud shelf inside a limestone sinkhole that had been sitting undisturbed under leaf litter for what geologists would later estimate as 40 to 60 years. The Suunto hit the wall on the way down. The needle cracked. Her left ankle was broken. She knew immediately, not from pain, but from the sound it made. She had spent a rotation in ortho. She knew the difference. The echo of her landing was wrong. Too long, too much space around her than the drop should have allowed. Somewhere deeper in the limestone, water dripped in a slow rhythm. Above her, the fog had already closed back over the opening. She could not hear the trail. She had been 2 feet from it. Phone at 34%. Her only light source. At minimum brightness, she had maybe 3 hours before absolute dark. She turned it all the way down and looked for a way forward. The sinkhole walls were wet limestone. She could not climb them on a broken ankle. The only direction was a passage at the base, 4 feet high, narrowing, pushing deeper into the karst system beneath the Appalachian Plateau. She went in on her hands and knees. The smell came first. Wet calcium carbonate and groundwater, cold, mineral, the specific smell of deep cave systems in the Tag region. Then underneath it, old iron, the smell of metal sitting in an enclosed wet space for a very long time. She found them 40 feet in. A headlamp casing, lens shattered, battery compartment corroded shut, a specific brand she could read molded into the plastic. A braided rope, one end frayed, the other attached to a rusted iron ring driven into the wall. A tin cup, dented but intact, and carved into the rock at knee height, not scratched, carved deliberately, 2 initials and a year. R.M. 1987. Knee height. She told herself whoever made them was crouching for a better angle. She kept moving. The passage opened into a chamber where she could almost stand. Across it, set directly into the limestone wall, a flat steel door, 3 feet wide, bolted shut, the bolt on her side, the hinges on her side. The door swung toward her. Whoever installed it was on the other side when they sealed it, in the room she could not see. And they had closed it from inside. She stood there with 19% battery and water rising behind her in the passage. She could hear it now, fast, fed by rainfall hitting the plateau above. She thought about the trail register she had signed that morning. 1 entry, 2 weeks old, from a caver working the limestone east of the main trail. If you hear water moving toward you underground, move faster than it. She slid the bolt back, pulled the door open 3 inches. Cold air, colder than the cave, the kind that comes from serious depth. No sound, pure dark. She held it open for 11 seconds. Then she closed it and slid the bolt back. The water made the decision for her 30 seconds later. The Tag region has the highest cave density in the United States. Jackson County sits at its heart. Search and rescue personnel in this Appalachian Mountains corridor will tell you directly. Hikers don't always fall off ridges out here. Sometimes they fall in. The National Speleological Society has mapped thousands of openings in this system. The rest are what SAR calls the dark inventory. What Deanna found when she finally crawled out, what the SAR team leader told her in the debrief, reframes everything in that passage. The headlamp, the rope, RM carved at knee height in 1987, and it connects directly to what I promised you at the start of this video. The one detail all 3 hikers were carrying when they came out of the Quiet Mile. One more story. Ray Calloway was 41, a sheet metal worker out of Local 48 in Decatur, Alabama. Divorced, 2 kids he had every other weekend. He hiked because his therapist told him to find something that wasn't work or the custody calendar. He knew how to read weather, and he knew how to read distance. He misjudged both on a Saturday in early March. The storm came in from the northwest around 4 p.m., an hour ahead of the forecast. He was 6 miles from the Highway 72 trailhead, and the temperature dropped 18 degrees in 40 minutes. By 6 p.m., he was in full dark, in rain, on a fire road becoming a stream. The man appeared at the edge of his headlamp beam, mid-50s, canvas work coat, washed too many times and still clean. He spoke in the quiet, even cadence of a Jackson County local, the kind of voice that has never needed volume. He said his name was Ellison. He said the rain wouldn't quit until morning. He said his family's place was 10 minutes back down the creek, and they had food on and a dry room. Ray followed him. The property sat in a hollow off the Paint Rock River corridor with no road access and no utility lines coming in from any direction. 2 structures, a main house, and a smaller outbuilding connected by a covered walkway. A propane tank, the size of a school bus behind the outbuilding. Everything maintained, nothing recent. Ellison's wife Carol put a plate in front of Ray without asking what he wanted. Venison stew, biscuits, sweet tea, and went back to the kitchen. Their adult daughter Patty sat across from him and asked about his hike route with a focused, unhurried interest he registered as friendliness. He answered. He ate. He was grateful. He was shown to a small room off the main hall. A cot, a blanket, a window facing the tree line. Under the cot, pushed against the wall, a child's sneaker, 1 shoe, canvas upper, rubber sole still carrying fresh mud from outside. No one had mentioned a child. He had not seen one. He picked it up, looked at it, set it back on the floor. He did not ask about it. He noticed the exterior doors. Front door, the door to the covered walkway. each fitted with a slide bolt, on the outside only. There was no way to lock either door from inside the house. He checked 3 times because he thought he was misreading it. He was not. He lay down at 10 p.m. and did not sleep. At 11:07, he sat up and looked out the window. The rain had pulled back to a drizzle. At the edge of the tree line, 40 feet from the house, a figure stood completely still, not walking, not moving, just standing in the dark, facing the house. He watched it for 4 minutes. It did not move. He went to the main room. Ellison was at the kitchen table with a mug of coffee. Ray told him there was someone at the tree line. Ellison looked at him for a moment and said, "Storm brings things out sometimes." He did not stand up. He did not look at the window. He took a sip of his coffee. Ray went back to his room. The figure was still there. His father had been a pipe fitter who worked remote job sites his whole career and had one rule he applied every time. If a door only locks one way, you are already inside something. Don't wait to find out what. Ray sat on the cot in the dark with the child's shoe on the floor beside him and heard his father's voice like it was in the room with him. At 3 a.m., he opened the window. 6-inch drop to the ground. Rain had stopped. The figure was gone from the tree line, which did not make him feel better. He went out feet first, slow. He did not close the window behind him because he wasn't sure the sound of it closing was something he could afford. He walked 6.2 miles downstream in the dark to Highway 72, got a signal at the road. His kids were with him the next morning. He still has the draft text he wrote on the cot that night. It says, "Paint Rock River, North Fork, old house, no road. Man named Ellison. If you don't hear from me, call the Jackson County Sheriff. He has never deleted it." And the detail that connects Ray's story to Marcus's story, to Deanna's story, to the thing I told you at the very start of this video. We are there now. When Marcus Webb was found on Highway 72, after 7 hours under a deadfall in a Jackson County drainage corridor, he had red clay packed into the right heel of his left boot. When Deanna Holt was carried out of the walls of Jericho trail system by search and rescue, after 6 hours in a cave that does not appear on any public map, she had red clay packed into the right heel of her left boot. When Ray Calloway walked out of the Paint Rock River corridor at 5 a.m., after 6 miles in the dark on a creek he could barely see, he had red clay packed into the right heel of his left boot. 3 people, 3 different years, 3 different parts of the same 4-mile stretch of Jackson County, Alabama, that Ranger Caden calls the Quiet Mile. The clay is called ultisol. It is the dominant soil type in the Jackson County basin. Red, iron-rich, stains everything it touches. You will find it on half the trails in the Appalachian Mountains of northeast Alabama. But this specific deposit, the one that produces that particular shade, that particular iron content, that particular texture, is localized. Very localized. I talked to a soil scientist at Auburn University who works the northeast Alabama corridor. She described one holler in the Jackson County basin where that specific ultisol composition occurs. One location. It does not appear on any county deed. It does not appear on any survey I have been able to locate. It is not in the Jackson County tax records. Ranger Caden knows about it. He told me he has looked for the entrance to that holler for 11 years. He told me he thinks he found the gate last spring. He has not opened it. 3 people walked into the Quiet Mile through 3 different doors. They did not know each other. They did not know the Quiet Mile had a name. But all 3 of them, wherever they came out, had been in the same impossible place. And only one heel. Only the right. Always the right. I have a theory about that. I haven't shared it yet. If you have ever hiked the walls of Jericho, the Pinhoti, or anywhere in the Appalachian Mountains of northeast Alabama, I want to know what you heard when the birds stopped. I read every single comment. Drop it below.